To the Kent Lapp Podcast.
I look at like Spanish flu, which was much more severe. It kind of ran its 3 or 4 month course and then pattered out, and then I think it came back. But I just have to think that this is not so different than the flu. I mean, maybe it obviously is different in a lot of health ways, but I think it might. I hope it does. Anyway, it runs the same kind of course as the seasonal flu. When it starts to die out, kind of in May, June. So. Not basing it on anything.
Yeah. What are your personal thoughts on like how serious to take the virus? I mean, a lot of people are taking it serious, which I really appreciate. There's some people that think it's getting way overblown. There's some people say, it's no big deal at all because look at how many people die every year from the flu. Like, where do you kind of land here?
We're sitting here right now, so
yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, I didn't shake your hand.
That's true.
This is the closest we'll get. Huh?
I think that there are some political fears that this could be Trump's Katrina. So if you remember back in the Bush administration, Bush got really, really nailed politically on the Katrina disaster and his response to the Katrina disaster. And I think he even admitted that he was not proactive enough. He was not boots on the ground, ready to be there when that disaster happened. So I think the Trump and the political pundits have taken that to heart in this administration. And I think they have really, really just got in gear and gotten ahead of it. Just as they look like they're taking action, and like a lot of action. Obviously, they closed borders and closed economies. So I think it would be hard to argue that Trump did not do all he could to stop the virus. And I just have to think that Katrina was lingering in their back of their minds that we need to take this seriously or we might pay a political price for it. So that, having said that, I think it is very serious, but I think although people are dying, it's not the Spanish flu. It's not Ebola. So I struggle with how serious to take it. I want to take it serious because there are people risking their lives on the front line, and I want to do my part to make sure it's controlled. But I have not just stopped my life and sat at home like probably as directed. I just don't. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts.
A couple things that
I worry that it's politically driven is my point.
Really? So when you say politically driven, do you mean politically driven to start the thing and to begin with, or do you mean some of these stay-at-home orders, social distancing orders, etc., are politically driven?
I think the doctors have informed the administration, like, this is what you ought to do, and this is the safest route, and you might see a bad situation if you don't follow this guidance. So I think they would rather politically just err on the side of caution than be dinged politically for it.
Sure.
But I think it is serious, and I think we should take it seriously. But
yeah,
it's hard to just stop an economy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if literally, this is what's
fortunately, you know what I mean? If it was easy, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
To stop an economy.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think you see China now recovering pretty well. Now that they're 2 months, 2.5 months, behind, or having from the start. So, if China's any kind of gauge, I know they had an authoritarian bent to their response to the virus that we obviously don't have. But
yeah, don't you think that helped them contain it because they just sort of let people know what's going to happen, and just over there it's different than it is here. I mean, we enjoy freedoms here that they don't enjoy over there. But do you think that helped them contain the virus because of their authoritarian structure? They could move quicker and with more definitiveness?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think they are, as a culture, used to a top-down approach to life, work, culture. So I think when the powers that be hand down an order, they follow it. So I think, obviously, other democracies around the world, just don't work that way, right? So we're bottom up. So they're top down, we're bottom up. So I think, it is different. So I wonder if it will be drastically different in terms of cases and deaths because of that.
Now, calling it the Chinese virus is definitely politically driven, correct?
For sure.
I didn't know this, but the reason World Health Organization was they were really cautioning everyone to like not pin this to a nation or and so forth. And apparently,
they're afraid of xenophobia. Yeah.
Yeah. What is xenophobia?
Xenophobia means like you discriminate based on your race. Yeah. So if you see a Chinese person, you automatically pin the virus on them.
Yeah. Well, it's happened in a couple of places. I mean, it's probably happened more than we even know, but I saw one video of this poor guy. This is in America. There's a Chinese dude like getting sticks thrown at him. You know, I mean, he's not at fault here. He's probably more American than than the people throwing the sticks. But I think that's what they're trying to mitigate against, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And apparently the Spanish flu didn't necessarily come from Spain.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but somewhere along the line it picked up the term the Spanish flu, and here we are 100 years later still using it.
Yeah, apparently because Spain stayed out of World War I. So they were the first to report the flu. Although it did not originate in Spain, it probably did not. It probably originated in another country, but for wartime reasons, the other country did not report the flu. But Spain, who was not in the war, reported the flu, so it became known as the Spanish flu.